This is an area that is not only populated, but of course a lot of the buildings, historic in nature, very structures that are not going to be able to withstand the magnitude of shaking that we saw here, especially at the shallow nature of this earthquake, sitting less than 10 kilometers. So you're talking about much less buffering to take place from beneath the Earth's surface as this quake rocks this region. So sitting just a little over 100 kilometers away from a city of 2.5 million people being Rome, that's an incredible earthquake that's going to be felt quite a ways away, and particularly in Rome, where we know at least moderate shaking was felt. And since this quake struck at 3:30 in the morning, that's something else worth noting. When you're talking about people being asleep potentially during this time, we often say quakes do not kill people. It is structures that kill people, and at 3:36 in the morning, the vast majority of these people are going to be inside structures. So that's something that's certainly worth following over the next couple of hours as we learn more about what's occurring here. But here's the information, the latest information we have of this quake. And at that 6.2 magnitude, 10 kilometers is actually the standard depth USGS provides to all earthquakes when the information initially comes in. They can modify this, bring this down, even make it more of a shallower number. But of course, the quake has already occurred, so the damage already in place. So now we're going to watch and see how many aftershocks come from a quake like this. And historically, I can put the numbers there in perspective for you of how many aftershocks you see. But just take a look at what's occurred across this region, with 6.5 million people having felt strong shaking across this area. You work your way to the very strong categories, surrounding areas around the initial area of impact. There are 231,000 people felt very strong shaking, and even some people, about 10,000 folks, felt severe shaking. So that's why we think the highest potential for a loss of life and also property damage will be very close to the epicenter of this particular quake. And historically, when you have a 6.2, you bring down at least one aftershock within 1 order of magnitude less. That would be a 5.2. We have had an aftershock, I believe it was at about 5.6, that has occurred, and 2 other aftershocks have occurred since this quake in the last hour that have been in the 4 magnitude, which you would see typically 10 of.